Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining and watching after the Union Leader Network. We're going to talk today about taking a stress free vacation. And I'm looking forward to sharing a few best practices with you from people that we've been working with and helping and guiding, as well as some office staff who have some ideas and tips for how to support their leadership and their business manager with taking a stress free vacation. All right, so let's dig right into it. Today, we're going to just discuss the realities of vacation time. So, there was a study conducted recently by a US based online education platform, and they found that about 70% of American and Canadian workers, 70% can't stop doing their work activities during vacations. This isn't great because it is actually important to be able to take downtime. It is affecting mental health for sure. Um, and a lot of people are really struggling. So even 50%, 60% are anxious if they don't check their work emails while they're away, and they're struggling to switch off during their downtime. Why does this matter? Um, you really do need to get the time off, get the rest, spend time with your family, reset your mind. We're very busy with work and we tend to carry that with us. So the downtime is important and you want to be able to step away and take a vacation. I've got this little illustration that we created because we don't want you to be the guy who's dealing with contracts and agendas and reports and grievances and issues while your family's enjoying their time off. Do you happen to have the productivity handbook? I've written this, I've offered it by email, I've sent it to people, you've gotten it in hard copy. If you want a hard copy, let me know. I'll mail it to you. If you want a digital copy, let me know. I'll send it to you. I would love if you went through this, shared it with anybody who you know who might be feeling overwhelmed and want to be able to take more time off and get away a little bit easier. It is very important and it is possible. In this handbook, there is a little quiz that you can take to identify how overwhelmed you are. Um, Basically, it's just a way for us to support you with tips for productivity. So I encourage you to take that quiz. So, is it possible? Yes, it is possible to take time off. Many, many people in businesses actually use the vacation test as a way to see how well their business is functioning from a systems and operation perspective. So, there are many entrepreneurs who actually do this on purpose. They call it the vacation test. So, I'd encourage you to do this as well. You're not abandoning your post. You're actually testing your leadership. You're testing how strong are you as a leader, how well is your team operating? How well are you trusting your team? It's not necessarily just a luxury, it's actually an indication of how well is your business, how well is the office functioning and operating. And the goal is, yes, rest for you, but it's also to build that office that doesn't fall apart. And a lot of my tips and suggestions over the last number of months has been to help you guys get control of the stuff you're doing, delegate things that you need to delegate, and assess whether you're giving people the right kind of instruction and helping them with decision making. So, this is just the next step. The ultimate test is, can you take a vacation this summer without things crumbling? Um, it is possible. And some of the takeaways from today is I want to show you how you can prepare your team and your systems for a smoother, low stress absence. Not only is it vacation, but I've got some of you guys who are having a surgery, a knee replacement or something, and you want to be able to prepare for that. Or it's just a good idea to have things ready in case you ever need to take a bit of time away. This could also be really helpful for when you're traveling for work related events, conferences, trainings, that sort of thing, because um, it can help prepare things while you're away and you're not having to step out constantly to deal with fires. So, we're going to again come back to what you can delegate, automate, or document before leaving. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the communication and escalation plan to protect that time off. So, people aren't contacting you unless it's actually, an emergency or something that you've said can be prioritized to get in touch with you. Um, Many of you are quite irreplaceable. And that's sort of the problem because if you are the bottleneck and the person where everything comes through, and you don't have the systems and you don't have the delegation structure and protocols in place, you will have constant interruptions. From an ego perspective, this can feel really good because everything has to come through you and you're the one who kind of holds all the cards. But from a operational perspective, from a systems and from a rest perspective, it's not so great. Okay, so some of the things that make vacation stressful, and I don't know why it has that weird little thing there, but in some cases, and I've polled office administration staff, some of the things that make vacation stressful is there has not been enough early notice to the team. So they don't maybe know ahead of time enough. So they can't prepare to pick up the pieces while you're gone and really carry the decision making and carry the jobs that have to get done. Um, it can make it really stressful when there's no clear delegation map and you don't have a decision making protocol in place. The biggest complaint is inbox overload. Like, I'm just going to get bombarded by emails, they won't get handled, and then that's going to be a real problem. And this is systemically an issue I find with people who don't have an admin assistant who handles their inbox. So, we're going to talk a little bit about a few things that practically you can do because I know not all of you are able to just get somebody else managing that inbox. In some cases, the team doesn't know what should be escalated and held. So they're struggling to prioritize without your help. And so we're going to address that. And there are systems that just frankly depend too much on one person. So there's not somebody else who can seamlessly step in, who has had some cross training or who can kind of, do that work while others are away. So we've got a few ideas to make this smoother. So we've got a vacation prep checklist with some ideas. We've got a delegation map, which we've talked about in previous episodes, and also an escalation protocol. So let's dive in. The week before vacation, you should definitely triage everything. Meet with your admin or your assistant, whoever's going to be that lead, who is that person that's going to be in charge while you're away, and you're going to want to triage things. So look ahead. If you know that there are scheduled activities that happen based off the calendar, you want to look at what can we handle now or prep now, what can we delegate while I'm away, what can wait till I get back, is there somebody who can be in the inbox during the week that you're away that you trust, and what do they do. So that's something you should do in the week ahead, just so that everybody knows it's all being taken care of. The very first thing is your vacation prep checklist. So I would have an ongoing checklist for any time you're leaving the office. um, it's similar to a pilot's pre-flight checklist. A lot of people have this. So stuff that you yourself are going to turn on, turn off, do get prepared for. So a few simple things. Make sure that you have a shared office calendar in your teams. Wherever your email is handled, you should have a shared calendar where everybody's vacation time goes and you can see who's off when, who's out at a conference. It can be helpful because then if people are in the office, like, oh, where's so and so this week? You can say, oh, yeah, he's away, but he'll be back on Monday at such and such a time. And I can book you a time with him then. So it's just helpful if people have visibility into when you're away. Um, I would set up your out of office auto reply on your email. So everybody gets a reply saying, I'm out of the office this week from this date to this date. If you need help with X, contact so and so. If you need help with Y, contact so and so. And it just kind of helps people when they email you get that automatic reply so that they can sort of self direct. So that's important to do. Um, Set up an early heads up in your email signature. So in the couple of weeks before you leave, at the bottom of your email, you can just have something in red or blue or green that stands out, just saying, heads up, I'm going to be out of the office this date to this date. I won't be available by email. I'll return your email upon that date. Something simple there so other people can start to be forewarned. You can also start creating some templates. some email responses for common requests. If there's some things that you do frequently and you want to assign that to somebody else and they're going to be replying, even if in your out of office auto reply, you say, for any of this type of thing, contact so and so, you might want to pull a couple sample emails of what you've already done and how you typically respond so that the person you're delegating to can respond in a similar way. So create some email templates there and you can just keep this updated. Again, this will be helpful for when you're even out at conferences or at golf tournaments or whatever it is you're out doing. And then I would definitely schedule a pre-leave team check-in. So you're going to say, all right, here's who's in charge, here's what's going on. Um, and then we'll kind of get into the next bit of what you're going to do. But I would schedule that check-in so that everybody knows what's up. I think a lot of it is mindset wise, we feel bad, like, oh, I don't want to leave and kind of leave people in the lurch. So we just kind of avoid, but it doesn't help. From what I've heard from other admins, they just want to know enough detail so that they can keep things rolling while you're away. When you leave them in the dark, it doesn't help. Let's look at inbox. This is a tough one because a lot of you don't want anybody else in your inbox. Some of you have executive assistants who are in your inbox. They handle your emails, they respond on your behalf, which is great. Um, because I hear a lot, especially if you were in a rep role or some other role, and then now you're in a business manager role, you still get emails from people who remember you were their key contact. You may look at that email and be like, oh my goodness, that's just not my thing right now. I don't dispatch or I don't handle this anymore. And so instead of ignoring that, let's have a system where you're forwarding those key emails. Um, you can also have somebody else who's monitoring your inbox have some of those rules so they see those emails are going to get forwarded. Certain emails are going to get filed. Certain emails are going to go into a thing that only you can handle and they're going to be dealt with when you come back. So you're not coming back to this giant inbox with 1,000 emails. You're coming back to one with maybe 45 that need your attention. That's still a lot, but anyways. Your auto reply, the second bullet point, when you have your out of office turned on, the auto reply should indicate who to contact for what. So again, for X, contact Y. For A, contact B. Um, here's an idea that came my way. And what if you had some more inboxes, some more email inboxes that were more general and maybe two or three people have access? So, for example, an info at or requests at your domain or events at da da da, and you have multiple people who are monitoring that. You can have a little system for what are the responses, what do you do once you've dealt with an email, so people aren't replying to the same email. So talk to me if you want help setting up this system. But if you're forwarding more things to these general inboxes where other people are all having visibility and able to manage so that and there's actually automatic ways of routing using some email tools where emails come in and you route them automatically. Another tip that I don't have on here, but I should have, is there are some different tools for Gmail. There's one called Boomerang. For Teams, I'd have to look up exactly what the tool is. But basically, if you see an email, you can hit Boomerang and it'll circle back and remind you after a certain number of days that you haven't dealt with that email. So that can be a good way to make sure stuff doesn't get buried. Like you read it, but then it got buried. So a few tips there around handling your inbox, but the best thing you can do for yourself is get somebody else, an admin if you can, to help you in your inbox. Because to be honest, when we talk about what's your hourly rate worth, there are other people who can handle your inbox better than you and more cheaply than you. And it'll keep you focused on the stuff you have to do, which is, being out there in the public, being at sites, being with on the job, doing training, leading your people. All right. The next tool is your delegation map. Before you step out, declare who's in charge and what the boundaries are. So that's where you have your team, um, your pre-departure team check-in where you're saying so and so's in charge. Here's what they're going to be doing. They know where I am. They'll be able to contact me if there's any issues. You're going to also list out what needs to be covered and by whom. So if you have anything that can't wait till you come back or you can't get done ahead of time, you got to list what needs to be covered and assign that properly. Don't forget the decom. Do they have the direction? Do they have the capability? Are there any obstacles that are going to be in their way? Like they don't have a password or a login or something that's going to get them stuck. Remember that. We've also provided you with a delegation matrix in previous episodes. So go back and look at those. Check out your emails from me. This is something that if you do on an ongoing basis, it's not such a shock when you go on vacation. And you want that team to be able to solve most of the problems. You don't want to be the fallback for everything. You don't want to be the bottleneck where all decisions have to come through. And if something's really specific and you need them to do it exactly a certain way, and you've never made it before, try downloading Loom or Scribe and make a little video or a little document for how to support. If there's something really specific that has to be done on a certain day that you're away, leave a little video for somebody. Okay, escalation protocol. I love saying this. You have to teach people how to treat you. If you want to be the bottleneck and you want them to come to you for everything, your actions are going to teach them to behave that way. If you want them to be empowered and handle a lot of this on their own and make decisions, teach them and empower them and enable them to do that. The other thing is escalation protocol. If everything's always high priority, disaster, fire burning, your team is going to respond accordingly. So you need to set the expectations about here's what counts as an emergency, here's what doesn't. And then you've got a point person who can communicate with you for emergencies. And you need to set the boundaries of what is an emergency. And then also decide with your team what's going to come to you while you're away and what can wait so that they know. Um, you don't have to be available to everybody all the time. So there's a couple things you can do to apply this for yourself. You can go back to the productivity handbook and do that little quiz and just quickly assess yourself. Or you can just ask yourself for a few minutes, what would break if I left tomorrow? What do I always get called about? Who can be empowered to step in? And in this middle one, what do I always get called about? That is your chance to look at, all right, do I have to be the person always that answers this question? Or is there a guide or a video or something that I can um, do about this? Obviously, you're booking your holidays when it's a little quieter, hopefully, and there's not, other big things that are really going to demand your time. And so then you can step away and take that vacation and enjoy time with your family and friends. If you don't have this productivity handbook yet, send me a message, shoot me an email, reply here, and or go to our website, unionleadernetwork.com. Sorry, boostunions.com, and click on the free resources tab and you can download this right away. Thanks so much for watching. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you think this is super helpful and you want to share it with someone else, forward this video. I'll see you next month.